Well, hey there, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Island Church Weekly podcast. I am pumped to be back. It's been about 2 weeks off, and Pastor Will, you've been holding things down wonderfully while I'm gone. Some great episodes, and some kind of new format, which is always fun.
Yeah,
How you doing, man? It's been too long.
I know. Well, it's been good. I introduced myself last week as you. Then I corrected myself, but that was good last week.
It's
Sandy and
fun.
I did the podcast together, and so it's been good. We've certainly been missing you a couple of weeks, but
Yeah.
you and the kiddos and family, yeah, had some time to travel together.
Yeah, it was fun. We got to get off to we were in London for a good chunk of the trip. And my dad, my son, and I went over to Normandy, France, and saw kind of the D-Day battles there, and did a whole tour through the kind of Normandy countryside of all those kind of D-Day operations and all the campaigns that happened over there, which was really cool. Definitely like a once in a lifetime trip.
Right.
We survived the 8.5, actually ended up being 9.5 hour trip back with the kids during the day, and only a few meltdowns. So all in all, we will count ourselves fortunate and blessed that no one came back with any major injuries, and we did not get stranded at any airport. So it
You
was a
didn't
great
leave
trip.
anyone. You didn't.
We didn't
Everybody
leave
came.
anyone. We ended up at our desired destination. Some of you know, last year or 2 years ago when we tried to do a trip, we ended up in the wrong city because of some passport issues. So none of that this time. So we're glad we actually got to do the trip that we'd planned out. So it was fun.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm glad that went well. I'm sure the kids had a good
Yeah.
time, and you guys did, and
Yeah.
you're having your parents along too.
Yeah,
That's a
it
good
was a
thing.
great,
So
great family
anyway,
trip.
we made it along. We got started. We got started with a new series, and so that's off to a good running start with the law of love, and just really really important on how we make decisions and how do we want to do the things we want to do.
Yeah,
How do we get to do those better, and how do we
yeah,
stop doing things we don't want to really
yeah.
shouldn't do. And then what does God want for us, and how does it all fit together? And so it's really been a fun series to get started with me, and look forward this week to the next two commandments together. And I even taught some funny things, and I won't, maybe I'll save it for another time because some people are maybe watching this and not here on Sundays. But I even gave them how to learn the commandments. So there's one God, and then you don't bow down to any other idols, and then you put your hand over your mouth because you don't want to use the Lord's name in vain, and then you put yourself to sleep on the Sabbath. You rest on the Sabbath with four fingers, and so we did
I
all
love
kinds
it.
of things,
Some great
right?
ways to remember them. Yeah, that's so fun. That's
So
so fun. Good stuff.
so we had some things to do that because
Yeah.
if we don't know the commandments, we can't keep them.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's that part of committing the word to our hearts, right? If we don't remember it, if we don't have it deep within us, then it's hard to, in those moments where it's easy to break one of those commandments, some of them
Right.
easier to break than others,
Right.
and then
That's
they
right.
don't get called to mind. So I love that. Well, what's coming up that folks need to know about? I know we have Momentum this Sunday. What else is coming up?
Well, we got momentum, and it's some people's personal favorite. That is, it's ice cream. We're just going to have ice cream and more ice cream, and so I don't know where food comes in. It doesn't come in this week. It's just only ice cream. So we're going to do that at 5:15 this Sunday. Then we'll have our together time and at 6 o'clock with kind of laying out some things. We get the chance to highlight and celebrate some of the ministry that's happened in the last few months and show some pictures. And as I shared on Sunday when I did part of the announcements or I closed out the service, I said, this isn't like a meeting. We do this in a fun way. And so, but it is fun to see what God's up to. You have a chance to hear from some people as to what God's doing in their life. And we get to hear some of that and then talk about, we got some updates regarding our missions effort. We call
Yeah.
it a building project or the
Yeah.
bridge to the future, but really what it is, how does this church, how do we steward this church to impact more people's lives for eternity? We get a chance to change eternity. Actually, from this passage this past week, for thousands of generations potentially, if the point is infinite numbers. And so if we walk with Jesus and we get a chance to pass that faith on, we get a chance to have impact. And so that's really what the whole building thing is about. So we're going to give you some updates. We had some progress yesterday. We'll have some more this week. And so we're getting to about to the point, Matt. We're almost there at the very, very end, where all we're going to need left is continued prayer support because this is a spiritual matter. We have a spiritual enemy that doesn't want us to impact the next 50 years. Just use as a round number. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And
That's
doesn't want
what's
to do that.
exciting.
But all
Yeah.
we're going to need then is the prayer support, the covering for what we're doing for our ministry, and then people to continue to give and support this financially. We're going to need some people. We're going to do this. We're at a point almost where we can say, well, it must be God's going to show up. This is
Yeah.
going to happen because
Totally.
financially, this doesn't make sense for a church our size to do this in terms of just what's in our human capacity. So we're going to need people to
Got
give
to show up.
individually, and we're going to need God to move into people's lives that we don't yet see, but we're getting right there at the end. So this is exciting. It's really coming together nicely. So looking forward to
Yeah.
that.
In my experience, when you get to a situation where you say, without God, this is impossible, that's exactly where the Lord wants you. Right? Like every time in my life where I'm like, God, if you don't come through, I don't know how this is going to happen. Then that's exactly, God loves to put us in those places of dependency where we don't get to look at ourselves and pat ourselves on the back and say, oh, I did that. He loves to put us in positions where he gets the glory, where it's only him that gets the credit for it. And so I think God's just doing that in a really cool way here, where he's saying, hey, I'm going to put you to a point where it may feel in human terms impossible or difficult or something like, how is this even going to happen? That's when God tends to do his best work. So I'm excited for him to show up in a really cool way.
Yeah, and great thing is he's going to do this through people.
Yeah,
someone's going to get the blessing. Our people are already getting the blessing because they've invested to get us to this point. But we don't know where people might have resources, and maybe someone's going to give an additional part of their state, or they're going to give part of their a house, or have some property someplace, or they got some stock and they want to pass that on. There's all types of ways people can give, and so we know there's going to be surprises. When those people walking around the walls of Jericho, that seemed a little foolish to them.
Yeah, seemed a little bit crazy, right?
A little crazy.
Yep.
And could have God have done that and them not do that? Well, of course, is,
Yeah.
but he uses people. He's going to use our people. And so some people are going to get a chance and opportunity through their giving, whether small or with the widow's mite and what God does with that, or where God uses someone in a larger way in terms of just financial numbers. Maybe it's again through a house, maybe it's through stock, maybe it's through something part of their state. Could be any number of kinds of things. But we have a chance to impact eternity, and that's what we're about here. And only three things are going to last in the end, Matt. It's God, his word, and people's souls. That's it.
That's it. Yeah.
And so we want to be investing deeply in those kinds of things. So we're really looking forward to that. So come get some ice cream. Be with us on Sunday. Well, if you don't normally make Momentum, make it this week.
Yeah,
probably going to broadcast this, stream it. I don't know if we'll do it through passcodes or through live or do it how we do this. But we've had people that aren't here. A lot of our church isn't here now. They're either traveling in the summer or they winter with us, and so they've requested. Even got an email this morning on that, and so we're going to do something to capture it as well. But if you're in town, be here or be square.
Yeah. It's going to be a good time. Awesome. Very cool. Well, how can folks be praying for the church this week or praying for themselves personally to be involved with the church?
Well, again, I alluded to a while ago, I just think they need to pray for protection, pray for God to continue to provide leadership to our people as a church. We try to grow people in Christ likeness. The building is a part of that. We're trying to reach more people and trying to help them grow deeper in their faith. And what we have is an enemy that's trying to not just thwart our efforts, he's actually seeking to destroy families and create chaos. And so we want to continue to be a matter of prayer over what we're doing. And so that's how this thing actually began, Matt. I mean, came on as interim pastor here, and in terms of the facility, and actually I was caught in a good thing, caught outside prayer walking the facility and saying, if this church is ever going to move forward, it's going to have to do something towards having facilities that reach the entire community and to be a bridge to them, and particularly towards the younger generation. And so others can join in the prayer walk. You can pray down through this area, drive or do a prayer drive. And so they can be praying about the mission, the reaching the people, and then all the logistics that are going to be necessary to pull this thing off. We're getting really close here to being able to launch this thing more publicly. And so they can pray about that, but it really is about the people. It's not about the building. And so we need you here, and then we need your support financially right now, not in an ongoing way. If you're out traveling, that's fine. Have a good time while you're away. That's good. But don't forget that the ongoing needs of the church. That's the whole reason that God set up the tithe there in terms of the temple, was to take care of the temple operations. And so that's important for us to do that. So keep people on your mind, consider praying about this, and obviously consider giving and being around. When you're not here, you're missed. Yeah. And so we need everyone involved. And thank you for the people that have indicated that are stepping up and serving in different ways. If you haven't found a place of serving yet, again, come have a conversation. It's a fun thing to do. Arnie's our sign man. What are you going to be? So Arnie puts out those signs each week. And of course, Steve Smith's been helping him with that. But Arnie's been a principal of schools and military bases around the world, and takes great joy. And we certainly appreciate him going out each week, putting those signs down, letting people know that we're here. But there's a role for each one here.
Absolutely. That's such a great word. All right. Well, that will wrap it for today's episode of the Island Church Weekly podcast. Pastor Will, thanks so much for sharing your heart. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you back here next week.